Welcome to T.O.L Studios, and today in Lesson 13 we're going to take the second part of what I've shown in Lesson 12 is the draw board, and I've drawn more of the scales and shown the letters. And I'm just going to kind of review it so you see what I'm drawing here on the draw board, and now see to this lesson you can totally see how it's going to apply to the guitar. So what I did here basically, I was saying C was our first note, D was the second, E, F, G, and so forth. I've put the numbers above here just so you realize I'm saying C is the first note of the scale. Or again, we talk about the key of C, and I'm showing that here. But I'm telling you, it's the same thing, but this is really a C major scale. We will sometimes say it's the key of C, or the key of C major. It means the same thing. So I'm saying the first note of that scale is C. Second note's D. And that's why these numbers are above the letters. I apologize if I wrote too sloppy. That's my 5. So over the G, 6 over the A. So B would be the 7th note of this scale. G would be the 5th note. E would be the 3rd. Then right here I'm saying between the C and the D, that W is telling you that's a whole step or going up 2 frets. So again, at times in previous videos I used the second string and C, I said it's here, and D goes there, and then you'll see I'm going up 1, 2, I went up 2 frets, that's a whole step. And if you look back to the first note on this string, second string, when I play it open, it's a B, and then that's why I've been telling you, I know that's why C goes here, because those, if you see 0 as a fret, again, that's your B, C, that's going up 1, that's a half step. So the reason that worked is when we tune the second string, we're really tuning to this note of the C scale. And that's why we started with a half step on that string. When you see it going like this, B, C, and now we're back here, even though I said this C, because when you get to that C, it's like a wheel turning, you're just going to start right back over. So if I'm on C and I go up to D, that's why I'm saying on the guitar, now my D goes here. Now I did do a whole step. And then if I went to this, D to E, that's a whole step. Or the second to the third note of the scale. And I keep doing that because you're going to find out later on when I'm showing you like the key of G major or D major. The number thing's what stays the same. Letters just kind of start in a different order. And this stays the same. The whole step, half, whole, half. That's why I keep saying memorize this, the 2 W's, half step, 3 W's, half. And if you're still a little confused, I'm going to keep explaining it, but have that memorized. And then basically, if I'm on D and E, that's why E and F, the 3rd note, the 4th note, half step, that's what I'm doing right here. Okay, and then I could keep breaking this down because we did this in a previous video, but F to G is a whole step, whole step, whole step, finish with a half step. And if I went all the way till I'd run out of room, I'm just going to keep following that pattern. C, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. And then we're out of room. Okay, and every string's going to work that way. We tune the 6 to an E, and we tune the first string to an E. Both of those are tuning to the 3rd note of the scale. So that's why we went to the 1st fret when we went to play F. Meaning we went F here. Or again, if we were here, we went F there. But then that's why we ended up going G, whole step, because we're following this now. And then we're going to follow that. We just started in a different order. So that's all I'm trying to say, that those strings are tuning to this scale too. Then I've talked about when you learn all these, and again, you should have this memorized. I'm in pattern 3 and 4, but if I started on that C note, we learned we can go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And I talked about that being backwards diagonal. Then we learned in pattern 5 that we could start the same notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and that's going vertical. Then we learned we could take this note, re-put it on another string. It's the whole concept of these strings tuning and knowing this. That's why it allows you to kind of overlap. In this C note, we can play it in 2 spots. Okay, so just go back up to the previous videos, review that, because in the very next one, all I'm going to do is take all these patterns, which again, that comes out of pattern 3/4, the full notes. Okay, and by the way, I'll show you something here too again. If I'm starting on the C note and I was going C to C, I mean, I just did this all the way up to C. Think of it this way: if I go backwards from this note, and I'm just still in pattern 3/4, so if that's C, B, that's like me just going backwards in the scale. Then the open A would be this one. So then if I go to the 6th string for my G, then the F would be this one, and then the 6th string would be that open E. So that's what I'm saying, when you see this, it is a C scale here, but we're just starting on the E note, and that's why I'm saying this is pattern 3/4, because that's a half step. So the same thing when I've always said this is pattern 5, if we know that's C, and we should know this pattern, if we go backwards, B, so we're on this, A, which would be this, and now I'm still on the 6th string going back to a G. So that's what I'm saying, is I'm on the G note, I'm on the 5th note of the C scale. That's why this is pattern 5. Okay, and that's the same thing. That's where all that comes together. It's not just some weird number system. It's all based off knowing the scale, but it has to come from first knowing how to tune the guitar. Lesson 1, how to know how to put those notes, so you know that's F, G, A, B, C, and seeing that on this string, A, B, C, D, all the way down to your 1st string, and then knowing, even if I confused you at first, why this is called 3/4, knowing this is the way you play the notes, that's E, F, G, A, B, C, so that way you know this one's G, A, B, C, D, and this one's A, B, C. All that, by knowing that, then you're going to be able to follow me when I start showing you on the next lesson how we can take another letter. Let's take the G, and we'll go G to G, but we'll put this formula in, and I'll start talking about what sharps and flats are going to be. And to give you an idea, if this is an F, and meaning this, and if this is our G, I've always told you to skip the 2nd fret. Well, obviously, you know it makes a sound. I'll teach you on the next lesson that this is kind of a 2-part name. We can sometimes call it what we call an F sharp, meaning we slightly raise the F note, or we can call it a G flat, which means we slightly lowered it. And I know that gets a little confusing because a lot of my students are like, well, when are you going to call it an F sharp or a G flat? As I keep talking about the other scales, that's what's going to make sense. Okay, so review at this point. That's what you're left with. Really review, memorize this information, all this, the whole step, half, whole, half. Then I'm saying that's a major scale, and we're basically saying it is the C major scale. Make sure you know I'm saying a whole step's 2 frets, or again on a piano, going up 2 notes. A half step is 1 fret, or going up 1 note. Okay? Then know the patterns on the guitar. Make sure you know these letters. We're going to spend much more time talking about going into the other scales so I can show you what the sharps and flats are. Have fun with that. I look forward to the next lesson.